Hey, hey, hey. All right, go ahead and grab out Ecosystem Dynamics Part 1, and you'll notice that this is our last section of notes for the ecology unit. You got a couple parts in this, but this is our last section, and I think a lot of this video will be review from 7th grade, things you already know. Okay, so make sure you're highlighting and writing on your notes as always. Let's go ahead and start. Ecosystems are all, let's look at that word. Ecosystems are all the communities, the living plus the abiotic, or right above abiotic for me, non-living factors. Okay, so when we talk about non-living factors, I want you to think about, it says abiotic factors mainly deal with energy flow, nutrient cycling, temperature, water. And underneath nutrient cycling, I want you to make a note. That's the carbon cycle, the water cycle, the nitrogen cycle, and the phosphorus cycle. So you got carbon, water, nitrogen, and phosphorus. Those elements, or really all the elements, are just being cycled over and over and over. You know, water that you're drinking today, you may be swimming in this summer. So the water is just cycled. It's not lost and gained like energy, but the water is cycled. Okay, so an ecosystem refers to the living and the non-living. Okay, let me give you an example. When we're talking about the savannah, like where the Lion King is, we're talking about all the animals in the movie, all the trees, the soil, the temperature, the amount of rainfall. So that would be when we take into consideration the whole ecosystem or the whole biome. Okay, and if you'll look at this picture with me, you can see the red line is the energy flowing. And so energy, look at the red line, from the sun, I'm going to draw on it too, energy from the sun goes to producers, right, then to consumers, then there, then, see, so energy is, and then energy is lost, right, the energy's gone. It goes up, it goes around, shroom, and it's gone. But matter, which is the blue line, goes back. And so if you'll kind of focus on the blue line over here, it goes right back. And so while water, carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus are cycled, the energy is going towards chaos or going towards entropy. Okay, so as we look at these pictures, you'll see there's the amount of energy lost, and it's on down in your notes, but you remember you lose 10%, or I'm sorry, you only gain 10% of energy at each trophic level. So you lose 90%. Okay, and we'll hit that again later in the video, but look right here, and it labels them for you. Primary producers are also known as autotrophs, and they're the organisms that are plants and algae. They're the organisms that get energy from the sun and do photosynthesis to feed everyone else. And so do me a favor and let's actually flip your notes over and draw this. And I had you draw this on another set of notes, but it will help you to draw it again. That was really crooked. Okay, so the first one we said is primary producers. AKA, these are your autotrophs. These are the organisms that get energy from the sun and they feed everyone else, right? So we definitely want to keep it where we have more producers than we do consumers. That's important. So here's the sun providing the energy for the producers. Okay, so now, and I'll make, I'll go back to my blue. Okay, then you have the primary consumers. And this is really going to be the organisms that eat only plants, cows, horses, right? Those are primary consumers. And these are going to be the organisms that eat the producers. So the energy flow, they get it directly from the producers. Consumers that get energy straight from the producers are primary producers. Okay, next you've got secondary consumer. And then last you have tertiary consumer. And so remember that the reason this is in a pyramid is because energy is most at the bottom. Okay, another thing I want to point out, all three of these are consumers. Hence the word consumer in their box. The one on the bottom, that's a producer or an autotroph. Okay, so the word consumer and the word heterotroph mean the same thing. It means they depend on something else for food. You and I are heterotrophs. We depend on the cow for the hamburger or the carrots for the vegetables. Some of you probably depend on your mama to feed you. No, I'm just kidding. But animals are heterotrophs. Okay? And so, you can see the different levels. There's only 3 levels because that's how much energy there is. So write in for me on consumers. Only 3 or 4 levels because lack of energy. Like there's not enough energy. Nobody wants to eat the tertiary consumers. There's not enough energy in those. Okay, the decomposers, if we go back and look at the decomposers up at the top, microorganisms and other detrivores, that means decomposer. And so these organisms are what feed on the dead decaying matter. They're going to be what eats the leaves after they fall. The roadkill. They're going to decay the plants that die. And so when a tree falls, it doesn't just disappear, it decays. Bacteria and fungi eat them. And so they take the dead decaying organic material and convert it back into inorganic. Wait, what is organic and inorganic? What they do is they take and convert it back into nitrogen, carbon, phosphorus, so we can use it. Okay, beside decomposer, so bacteria, so write in beside decomposers, bacteria and fungi, because those are your main decomposers. Is the bacteria, and again, they eat the leaves, they eat the trees, they eat the dead animals, and convert it back so that the nutrients from your body, or from the animals or the plant body, can be recycled. Okay, so we got the law of conservation of energy. Energy is not created or destroyed. It is transformed from the sun, and we have an unlimited source of energy from the sun coming in all day, every day. And the plants convert that for us, but it's going to chaos or entropy, right? And I showed you in this picture here. The energy or heat, as it's shown here, is going off. It is used. It is used up, and then goes towards entropy. All energy enters Earth as sunlight, and that's high quality. That's a photon. One ray of sunlight is a photon. Write in photon for me. All energy leaves as heat, so it actually does leave. 10% rule, and we've talked about that already. The energy is passed on only 10%. So write in 90% lost as heat. And it tells you 90% is lost in the actual keeping alive of the organism, 80%, and also waste is 10%. So we use it, and what we don't use, we lose. Nutrients are recycled in the ecosystem. So we talked about the nutrients. Carbon, and I'm writing them again if you want to write them too. Water, nitrogen, and phosphorus. And then the primary production, if you look at this picture, that's how much energy do we need. And so it says, refers to the total amount of solar energy converted. So primary production, and sometimes you'll see that as primary productivity. You might want to write that word in, productivity. It refers to how much energy do we have available on planet Earth. This refers to the amount of energy that the Earth uses for the process of photosynthesis. So how much do we use? Only 1% of solar energy is used. So it seems like we're really wasting a lot, which makes 170 billion, that's a lot, tons of sugar. Tons, 170 billion tons. 99% is absorbed by the water. Remember saying that water was like a piggy bank for heat and then reflected back into the atmosphere, which makes the earth warm. This reflected energy contributes to the greenhouse effect and helping the temperature on Earth rise. So, it's getting warmer. The absorbed energy by water will be released at night to help the unlighted side of the Earth warm. And so, that's all ecosystem part 1, and we're talking living and non-living things and how they act together. And so, I hope this was helpful.